Hello and welcome to the Special Shiny podcast. This is a podcast about autism, and I'm your host, Stephen Milton. And
my name is Jeany Milton. I'm the mother of our special shiny child, Thea.
Yeah.
Are you happy now?
Yeah, I'm happy now, yeah.
Okay.
So we went through a few of these because Jen doesn't like the microphone and she tends to sit way away. So I finally had to change the mic stand and get one that goes close. Okay, so this episode is about general stuff that we are doing at the moment. It's a very general episode, so there's a bit of a mix of everything in it. Nothing specific. We've a few interviews lined up, and until we get to those, this is what we've been doing. The first thing is that last Thursday, which was what date is today? What date is today?
The 13th.
Let me check
It's the
13th of February, so take away 7. 6th? 6 and 7 is 13. Yes, that's right. So the 7th.
We're not as good as Thea.
No, we're not. No, we're not as quick as Thea.
No.
So last Thursday night, we went to a meeting in St. Mary's RFC in Templeville Road. It was hosted by Involve Autism. And they're campaigning for more ASD classes in mainstream schools in South Dublin.
That's right.
It was an emotional night. Very emotional. So before we get into it, let's start with Before we get into it, let's start with an interview with Pilar Gonzales, who is the spokesperson for Involve Autism.
That's right, yeah.
And could you start off by telling me just what is Involve Autism and how did it come about?
Hi, how are you? Involve Autism started in 2018. It was basically 3 parents that got together looking for spaces in special classes for kids with autism. So the 3 of them got together, and one of them knew another parent from the area, and we started a good group then. And we came about basically to talk. Our main issue at the beginning was to talk about the lack of places for kids with autism here in our area. Now we have some of our kids are here in the area in mainstream, but it's not the suitable place for them at the moment. So some of them do have recommendation that they need to be in a unit or a special class or a special school, and they don't have a place. We don't have a place locally here.
And are you talking about kids who are in primary school or secondary school, or are you campaigning for both?
Well, at the moment, our main we're aiming for primary school. Most of the parents here have primary school, but we know the post-primary school is our next goal that we need to address to. But we're going one step at a time. We are also aware that there's no early intervention classes in the area, and that there's not much support educationally here.
Yeah, we noticed that online, and as I'm sitting talking to you now, you've got a T-shirt on, and you had testimonials online coming up to this event. It seems you've put an awful lot of effort into this event. So what do you hope to achieve with tonight's talk? Tonight's gathering, not talk, it's gathering.
Basically, well, just for about the testimonials on Instagram, that was an idea that came about last year. Because we wanted to talk about what is the reality, a situation of each family. Now, we only had 11 testimonials, and they were very well thought out from the parents who wrote them, from different points of view. But the issue at the end was the same one. It was that there was no places for our kids locally to attend. And then even like the last testimonial, I think it was the most shocking one, when you see that one of the 3 parents that I was saying to you that started the group, she had to move outside County Dublin. And we miss her dearly, we miss the boys, and that's like the stream that we don't want to achieve with anybody else. So what we're looking for now in our public meeting, in a way, is highlight that locally here in Dublin 6, Dublin 6W, Dublin 4, it doesn't seem to be much for our kids to go. There's no choices. And parents are faced with very harsh realities of you either have your kids on home tuition or you send them to mainstream where they obviously are not going to get properly educated. So that's what we're aiming for. It's we do want a change, a proper change for our kids. We want to educate it locally and stop being bossed around
So you've obviously been campaigning for a while then. So who are you campaigning to? Like have you had any response from government, the education department, anyone? Has you seen any traction?
Well, we have loads of meetings. Like the last, since 2018, it's been meeting after meeting after meeting with the different authorities that related to this area. What we achieved, I think, so far is that finally the minister did recognize there is a lack of classes for our kids in South Dublin. In South Dublin in general, like not just Dublin 6W. There is a big lack, and he did a press release about it. So I think that was the first step, but we know it's only the first step. Like, we want to achieve more.
And with this public meeting tonight, is there anything specifically that you want to achieve? Do you want to see some result at the end from tonight?
Well, we do have a pledge in a banner at the entrance that we want, like, all the candidates that are going to be here to actually, like, sign in our pledge to guarantee that, like, the right of education for our kids are going to be served locally.
And then going forward, you have a private Facebook page as well for parents. And is that a support page, something for not just for campaigning, but also for parents who are, say, struggling and need peer-to-peer help?
Yeah, so we have like a private page. It's more like to do with our support activities that we're going to do. So we have a morning support and we have an evening support. So it's once a month. And it's been absolutely magnificent to meet so many local parents. Like, we didn't know that there were so many in our area. And it's been a great... just a great way to meet other people, exchange ideas, get support, which is the main thing overall. We are like building our, like, all the activities that we're going to do during the year, basically. We're thinking like we want to have things locally as well. So the private page is to do with that. And then our public one is just to announce the things related with campaigning or any other event.
Well, Pilar, thank you very much for talking to me. And we think what you guys are doing are fabulous, and we're really looking forward to tonight's event. So thank you.
Thank you very much to you. It's nice to meet you. Thank you.
Nice to meet you too. And that was Pilar Gonzales. And yeah, it was a tense night.
It was.
Yeah.
It was a deja vu.
Deja vu, yeah. But before we get into our own stuff,
yes.
Again, let's just say who was there. So there were Adam Harris was the keynote speaker. Mm-hmm. And then they had a panel discussion.
All the politicians were there.
Oh, yeah. All of the politicians were there. All of the major parties, main parties were represented. Main parties, smaller parties were represented. I think they got an awful shock when they saw the stats on the amount of schools that are like in South Dublin, I think it's 8 schools have ASD classes out of 68 schools or something like that. So that's shocking. Shocking. That's the case, and I do think it hit home. Especially, there were a number of politicians there who had children. They spoke about their own kids. Not they didn't give specifics, but they said that they have their own kids on the spectrum. So this is an important issue for them.
Yes.
So that was great that they got some support, and I saw them signing the pledge then at the end of the night. Adam Harris was keynote speaker, and there was a panel discussion. The panel was chaired by Mick Clifford, who's a journalist, and there was a rep from the NCSE.
Yes,
he got an awful time.
So sorry.
Well, you do and you don't. I mean, parents are frustrated, and maybe he needs to hear that, you know.
He's just the representative.
There was a Monsignor. There was Davida Hartman, psychologist, and a principal. Yeah. So we'll put the names of those people down in the show notes because we didn't take notes. We couldn't remember. But it was a good panel discussion. It was a really good panel discussion. There were testimonials from parents who were living it. And yeah, we wanted to talk about our own experience as well, because this is something that did happen to us years and years ago, about 7 years ago. We were told that the school that Thea was in was not the right place for her.
Yes, that we have to start looking for a place for her.
Yeah, they didn't have an ASD class at the time.
Yes, and though we understand their point, She's our child.
Yeah.
We're not going to take her out.
Yeah, we learned that experience taught us not to take any shit anymore.
Yes.
It really was one of those kind of things of like, what's most important? Our child.
Yes.
And her education.
That's right.
And that's it.
Yes. So when we were told to find a place for her, one of the advice that I got, not to mention their names, was not ever to take her out.
Yeah.
And because they cannot kick her out either.
Yeah.
So, but we took what their advice on board. So every single day for the whole day, that's all I did. I think that's my breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Was ringing people?
Was ringing people and emailing people. So I basically rang all the councillors, the local councillors, the TD, the Secretary of Education, Secretary of Health, Secretary of Children.
CNO.
The CNO. I call her, leave her message every single day, voice messages every single day, emailed her every single day. And the politicians, loads and loads and lots of them. A few of them came back. One specific person came back to me and have directed me to the right path. Because Thea, we had to wait for 24 months, and Thea was in senior infant. 24 months for her clinical psychologist assessment. And we just couldn't. And we were advised not to go privately because I don't know.
I think there was basically, if it's in the system, it's treated. It's basically easier for the system to manage. So if it's within the HSE, it's easier. If you go private, a little harder to, make the report stick or something like that. There was
something like that.
Yeah,
anyway.
it was a little harder for the HSE themselves to respond to the
like
reports if it's private.
So anyway, like I wrote then to the a complaint officer. And a week later I got a response. And then another week later I got a reply for a letter from the psychologists asking us to bring Thea for the initial assessment.
This is for the assessment, not for the schools?
No, not for the schools. This is for the assessment now. Okay. Because she did not have assessment that time yet.
Right.
She did not have any diagnosis at that time yet. So her diagnosis was fast-tracked anyway. We got the diagnosis. We've got everything. So then I just rang everyone. I called everyone, from any schools. Remember, you went to...
Oh, yeah, I went to a school.
It
was there was one place available, one ASD unit, and it had one place available. And I showed up, and I was the second person there. The other person was another parent from the school that we were in. So we were having a bit of a chat. That's the first time I met them. And then, because I love arriving at things early, and then 10 other parents showed up, 10 other sets of parents showed up. And then it got weird, because the door opened and the secretary was like, looked around, and she didn't ask who was first. She went, you. She pointed at some woman. Obviously, they'd had a conversation or something, or something had gone on. She's like, come on in, I'll have you first. And so she completely ignored the fact that we were at the door and stuff. And it was tense. I felt for every single parent there, but my job was there. My job was to try and get our child into school.
Our own child,
God.
Yes.
Didn't happen, didn't work. And we went back to just being so stressed, worried, concerned, unable to see a solution to this. It did resolve. And we won't go into how it resolved because it was resolved outside of our own. We weren't involved in how the resolution, but basically Thea was given a place, and we are so grateful because when she got that place, she thrived. She went from a child who was walking around corridors because she couldn't cope with the unit. Mainstream with the 26 other kids in the classroom.
Yes. And the teacher weren't equipped to give her the proper education that suits her needs.
Yeah. She had an SNA Now, that is worth saying. She had an SNA
She was great.
and a full-time SNA who was great. But, you know, our impression was that Tia would spend a good amount of time walking the corridors.
No,
just
that
trying to
wasn't
cope
our
with stuff like
impression.
that.
That was we were told.
Oh, we were told that. So, you know, when Tia got into the ASD class, she thrived. She just flew, took off,
Yes.
and has been going from strength to strength
Yes.
ever since.
Yes.
She has a support, a basic fundamental support. She may need that support for quite some time to come. You know, even now, even though she's thriving now, she
still have.
she is still attached to the framework of that support, and that is what is keeping her going. You know, we really see that ourselves. And if that was taken away, I don't know if Tia would be as capable at the moment. Now, later on, because she's a very intelligent girl, but
She needs to be
she
directed.
needs
and
direction,
supervised,
she
yes.
needs supervision, she needs a time and space to process. She needs loads of stuff, because she will still get in the car and still kick the crap out of the seat sometimes and have little meltdowns and ask loads of questions. And, you know, you can see that the day has been tough for her and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah.
So we understand that basically the sport she has now, we are in such a blessed
Yes.
position.
Yes. So
with
we
that.
support all those parents at that meeting, at that public meeting, because like coming from that experience, we have seen the importance, the impact on our own child of if she gets these children will get the proper support, the proper education, and if they'll be included in the school, they will thrive, same as Thea, and they will probably be the same as or close to Adam Harris, who will be able to I don't want to cry. So I want
It's okay, you can cry. It's okay.
if Thea did not have that kind of support to reach her potential at this stage, because I would say that she has at this stage, if she wasn't given that unit and the others in that unit, I don't know what would she be like.
Yeah.
And I'd say that the two of us would still be in a huge stress, you know. And I want that support for the others.
Yeah, for all kids.
For all kids who are on the spectrum. Because I work in HSE and I had no friends and my own family who worked in the respite care in Timpalogue, and they look after autistic children. And those adults that are there, why they ended up in the respite care? Because they weren't given the opportunity that our child have now. So I want that education because they are capable to learn.
Yeah.
They are capable to reach to their potential and be integrated fully in the community.
In a lot of cases.
Yes.
Actually, in all cases. So I mean that
Yes,
in terms of really severe autism.
Depends, yes.
But even then, like I hope as a society we're growing towards a place where there is integration for all
of them,
people on all ends of the spectrum.
Yes, because I can see Ireland is evolving.
Yeah.
7 years ago, all we met with every time we bring Tia out, every time we are out, is the look and the judgment.
Yeah.
For the love of God, will you discipline your child? You know, but now there's nothing like that. They look at you, but that look is not judgmental. That look is like, I know how you feel. I have one too. Or I know someone who has one.
Yeah.
You know, and that is because people are being educated and people, they're not just aware now. They're not just aware that there's autism. They understand what autism is. Those are two different things.
Yeah.
You know, awareness and accepting and understanding what autism is are two different things.
Yeah.
You know, they know, they understand what autism now. And they have, if they are given that education now, I'd say that HSE will save a lot of money for a respite care in the future
Yeah.
for the adult, because these children then would be able to have a job and support themselves.
Yeah.
Whatever that may be.
Yeah.
I am very hopeful.
Very hopeful. You were reading something there today. A mammy was talking about her son wanting to
be a
be a guard.
Garda.
And her automatic reaction was
her automatic response was, I'm sorry, son, because of your diagnosis, because of your autism diagnosis, that you will be automatically excluded
for your ASD.
Because of her. Yeah, but even she said that to her son, she wrote to the Garda people, and then she got back a letter saying that no, they don't. The Garda don't exclude autistic people. They actually have encouraged them to go in, and they have a system for them.
Yeah,
they have a support system for them. That is so good. I was like, oh my God, this is great, and I would love for that man, the mother. She went back to her son and said, sorry, I have said these things, and this is actually there's assist or support for you.
Yeah.
And I am excited for him.
Yeah.
If he put himself there and he gets accepted, and he will be able to cope, and because that's what he really want to do, he would be the first autistic Garda in Ireland.
Well, probably not the first. There's probably already a number of them already.
But
and it's just great that
there is,
that there's acceptance and there's awareness, and that it's evolving.
Yes, it's not just
but it must be slow going. Other parents must see it and think, God, it's slow going.
That isn't just, it is evolving, but it starts from awareness, and then there's acceptance, and then there's inclusion.
Yeah.
They have included the autistic people to work.
Yeah.
And it would be great if loads of working place would actually hire autistic people, because there's loads of autistic families in the community, but that would start on a very basic foundation, which is the education.
Yeah, which is being done by which is being carried out by the likes of Asiam.
Yes.
They are doing so much advocacy and education.
That's right. The Middleton. Again.
Yeah, loads of places. So, just bringing it back in, Involve Autism, like fair dues to them for just putting themselves out there, pushing it, advocating. They're seriously strong people there, and it's the strong voices there, and they're taking no shit, and it's great to see. We need to see more of that.
Yes, we do.
Talking about As I Am, Adam Harris mentioned a report that they published called Invisible Children, an As I Am survey on schools absences and withdrawal in Ireland, and he was highlighting the fact that there's actually quite a number of parents who are not. First of all, there's the whole concept of reduced hours, where children are asked to leave early, and that's criminal. Again, it's a case that the schools don't have the resources to help the kids, and so they're putting them on reduced hours and stuff. And I personally, I don't agree with that.
No. But if there's if they're not able to, if they're not equipped to look after the child because they don't have a space for it.
Yeah, and look, there were principals there who were saying that they were saying yes to taking on an ASD class,
but they don't have space.
But they don't have space, and the resources aren't being provided, and nothing's being said back to them by the NCSE and
the CNO said otherwise,
and so on and so forth. And the CNO said otherwise, and then there was war. So it was a big night for everyone. So the Invisible Children an As I Am survey, I'm going to put that in the show notes. It's worth reading. It's hard to read in some ways, because it just highlights how many parents are searching frantically. How many parents have decided that they have to homeschool because there are no alternatives.
Yes. And
even then, it's a very imperfect system, because there is no inclusion in that.
There's nothing.
One of the things that struck me as they were talking during that night was, as a child, because quite a number of kids have to get on a bus and go outside of their community to another school way away. And in fact, that's kind of how it is for us as well. I mean, I leave the house at 8 o'clock in the morning and we get to the school at 10 to 9. I have to battle with the M50. It is no fun. When we
choose that.
Yeah, we basically have said, look, it is more of a priority that our child has an ASD class, they're like gold dust, so we have to keep it like.
Yes.
That's the priority there, as opposed to, our own comfort and having a school near us. There is actually a school with an ASD class 5 minutes up the road from us, but unfortunately it doesn't have the space to accommodate us, and we understand that. But no, what I was saying was, children get on a bus, children go to school, children come back off the bus, and that's what parents see. They don't have the interaction that parents who are going to local schools have with principals and with teachers, and that must be extremely hard then for them. It's a bit like a vacuum, kind of. How do I know how my kid is getting on? Oh, I get a note home every now and then. That's it. Like, there's no little chats in the yard, little chats on going home and stuff like that. Those are kind of important things that a lot of parents have access to.
Yes.
Without having to set up a meeting and schedule things and it's ongoing. So every day you see how your child is. Every day you can talk to the teacher just for 2 seconds just to see how everything is, or just to tell them that so and so Jimmy, or your darling daughter and what something son.
Something like that, I don't know.
Darling daughter didn't sleep very well tonight. She's in bits.
Yeah.
She needs a bit more time to gather herself. Things like that are very important. They don't get to do that. That's mad.
You get to do that.
You don't get friends in the area. I do get to do it. They don't have friends in the area. That's one of the things that's difficult. My kids don't have that many friends in this area. We're trying, to do that. It's hard enough. Tia does go to hip hop, and that's a great way of helping her to establish friends and stuff. But it's still slow going and stuff like that, So, yeah, I would encourage you to go to Asiam and to check out the Invisible Children report, and I'll send a link in the show notes. There's so much to be said about it, and I start rambling and ranting and things like that. So we better move on. So one of the other things that we're going to do today is we're going to talk very briefly about the books that we're reading, because we both got books. I bought a book in Hodges and Figgis. They do have a nice section on autism. It's pretty good. And I bought this book, and it's called, no, you're handing me the wrong book. It's called A Guide to Mental Health Issues in Girls and Young Women on the Autism Spectrum. Diagnosis, Intervention and Family Support by Dr. Judy Eaton. And I had great hopes and high hopes of reading this book, but then wifey robbed it on me. So I didn't get a chance to so far. She always, she sees something I have and she's like, no, I have that. Now, luckily, I had another book. I ordered another book online because our daughter is going through a particularly tumultuous period in terms of adolescence. And it says, the book is What Every Autistic Girl Wishes Her Parents Knew, and edited by Emily Page Ballou, Christina Thomas and Sharon Devan Port. And it's the winner of the Autism Society of America Outstanding Literary Work of the Year 2017. And it is a collection of essays written by children, girls, I would assume. All of them. I haven't read it. I haven't finished the whole thing yet. But the ones I have read have been by girls. Girls who are basically writing about their experiences of childhood and what they wish their parents would have known about. Yeah. So we just talk very briefly about these two books. We haven't finished either of these books, but we just wanted to talk very briefly about them. So do you want to start with A Guide to Mental Health Issues in Girls and Women?
So I skipped. I did not start from the beginning at all. So I just started in self-harm and the mental relationship, mental health. So one of the things that I read here is it doesn't struck. When I was reading it, I was thinking of my Ella,
Our eldest daughter.
Our eldest daughter, she's neurotypical, but she's going through difficult time because Ella and Thea only have 11 months in between them. So they are Irish twins. So sometimes Stephen and I overlooked that Thea grow up, have engaged in this journey with us, and she has no choice on the matter.
Ella has.
Yeah,
she's grown up with Thea's autism.
And
Can
now
I say that? Thea's autism. She has grown up
with Thea's challenges.
with Thea's, challenges,
And so as I was reading the book, I was thinking of Ella, because she's now, hormones have set in, and that is not helping. So she's feeling emotional, and sometimes she will tell us that she's feeling depressed. And, so one thing of the study that's being put here is that, I'm rambling.
Well, what do you want to say?
So basically, can you cut that out?
That doesn't matter. Keep it in. Come on, tell me what you want to say.
So basically, children who would suffer from mental health issues is coming from the age of 5, wherein their emotional blanket is not being what is the proper word of that? Is being met, and that me as a mom, I always have this guilt of like, I was so focused with Thea's needs that I thought Ella was doing fine. She's doing well. But do I give her enough attention as well, or did I just assume that she's fine, she's not autistic? Because sometimes when she is telling me something, I would be like, and when she's telling me, I wish I am autistic too, so you can give me your attention.
Yeah, that's fairly.
Yes, and then my response to that, I responded to her. This happened 2 years ago, or a year ago. My response was, well, you're lucky you're not autistic. You don't know what you're asking for. Look at your sister. So when I read that, Ella was giving me a negative issue, and I responded it into a negative.
Yeah.
In a negative way. Instead of listening to her the way I would sit down and listen to Thea and wait for Thea to talk to me, I did not have patience for Ella. And that really made me think, for this past, since I started reading this, and I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? And I have given Ella too much expectation, that she is a strong little lady, and that I haven't given her, the mommy, because she talks to you and she tells you how she feels about me, and so that's the thing that she gives me. That's the negative. She gives me she told me how she feels, but I have given her a negative response. So like, you don't know what you're talking about. You're so lucky you're not autistic, and because you're able to do this, you have friends, you have this, you have that.
Yeah.
And Ella was battling.
Yeah.
Already.
Yeah. Well, all I can say about that is that, look, there's no roadmap to this. There's no perfect parents out there. Everyone has to learn. The fact that you're open to learning and the fact that you're ready to change is 90% of the battle. Mistakes are made.
Yeah.
all the time. Every parent makes them, you know. The guilt that you're feeling and the upset that you're feeling, because I can, you know, it's normal. And the thing is that it's never too late, you know. I mean, you know now that Ella needs a ton of love, a ton of affection, and a ton of support. And you know, I've seen you giving this over the last while, you know, and it's not that you weren't giving it before, even. You are a very loving person. It's just, you know, I know that when you highlight things like this, it suddenly becomes a big issue, you know. Ella has said on a number of occasions how much she loves you and looks up to you and thinks you're seriously cool. So it's worth, I mean, the fact that you're being honest about it is fantastic, but it's worth saying, look, mistakes they happen, and it really is about kind of recognizing that we need to change. That's the important thing about parenting, I think. You know, to any perfect parents out there, God bless you, away with you on your journey. That's all good. For the rest of us, and I do believe there's a ton of us, a ton. I think most people listening to this are going to be like in the other camp, the non-perfect parents. It is really about trying to make the change once you realise that something has gone awry. You know, that's all I'd say about that. You know,
thanks.
And educating yourself, it's very, very important.
It is very important.
Yeah.
So that's all I want to tackle about it.
Yeah. So what every autistic girl wishes her parents knew is a very similar thing, in the sense that it's voices of girls who are on the spectrum, who are adults. It's beautifully written. There's some absolutely beautiful stuff in there. Some of it is very similar to what you're talking about dads who aren't very understanding, who are trying to fit their kids into, you know,
to a box.
Yeah, into a box or a square peg, round hole, that kind of stuff. Mums who are their advocates and their rocks, and there's a lot of that in there. And it's great to hear. It's also sad for me to hear as a father. You know, not that I think that I'm a bad parent, but
you're not.
Just it is sad to hear that so many fathers are not able to connect with their kids. And again, I would say it's a case that you have to keep trying. There's no
written rule.
There's no rules here. Yeah,
you know, it's not a computer that you can.
Yeah, it's not
look
code.
Up. Yeah, it's not coded.
Yeah, it's not black and white. So that was very emotional and wasn't expecting that. Jen has just shown me a note here. So one of the things that Jen is doing is she is on Facebook. She's doing 50 Miles in March challenge, which is fundraising for autism dogs in Ireland.
Yes.
And we wanted to mention that as well.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
So I have 4 years ago, I think I wrote to the autism dog people that I want to purchase a dog from them. So they got back to me and they said, you don't purchase them, because Thea loves the idea of a dog, though she's afraid of it. But I think if she's got one that is trained, that she'll be fine with it, you know. So anyway, they got back to me and said, this was a few years ago, and said, no, they have to train the dog and stuff. So, and it's only just yesterday, then I look at the Facebook, and I bump into this one. So I put myself in it. I signed in.
Right. So it's basically you're going to walk for 50 miles in March.
50 miles
fundraiser.
in March, yes. And I have them up already on I have a few donations already.
Yeah.
On
So where's your Facebook page? What is it now?
It's on my Facebook page. It's Jeany Laranjo.
LARANJO.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
if you want to come and support us, please do. Yeah.
A euro.
Yeah. Or if you want to get involved in the fundraiser itself, you know, that would be great as well.
It'll be fun.
It's worth mentioning that As I Am are having a run for autism on Sunday, the 3rd of May, 2020, Corca Park, Nace Road, Newlands Cross, Dublin 22. So that might be something you might want to get involved with if you're around Dublin. There are a number of events. Tony Atwood is coming soon as well. He's worth checking out on Facebook. I want to read one of his books.
Yes.
Because he's like the rock star in the Asperger's world. I think we're okay. I think
That's it?
Yeah,
We
I
are?
think
Yeah.
that's.
I think we're now rumbling.
Yeah, we're rambling away.
So,
if you like what we're doing and if you want to support us, we would really appreciate if you gave us some stars on iTunes or in Spotify. That'd be great. So that helps us reach more people. And you can drop us a line at specialshinypodcast@gmail.com. That's our email. We're on Instagram at Special Shiny Podcast, and we're on Facebook at Special Shiny Podcast.
And we are on YouTube.
And we're on YouTube as well, yeah.
The Special Shiny Podcast.
Yeah.
And I just want to say thank you to Jillian.
Yeah, we got a fabulous message this morning from one of our daughter's friend's mammy, who listened to the podcast, and the message she left was absolutely wonderful, and it made us cry.
Smile.
So she was so encouraging, and we really appreciate all of that kind of thing.
Okay.
So if you want to get in touch, please do. It's specialshinypodcast@gmail.com. Guys, have a good day wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.